I used to bet on Ryan, meaning to win, against my other athletes because I'm like, the kid's going to win. But I learned with Debbie and Robert, and it was a real blessing for me because when I came in, there was no agents in the space. So I was kind of creating it as I went along, and trust me, I was making it up as I went along. I didn't have a lot of mentors from the space. And more importantly, I didn't realize that parents were everything to these athletes and how they got through the ranks. In most cases, some came from broken homes, but in most cases, mom and dad were involved in some way or another. And Debbie and I did not get along in the beginning. Did not. Robert was like, I mean, you know Robert, shirt off, shirt open, walking around the pits. Robert was the coolest guy ever.
He was so
construction worker. And Robert, he and I still talk today, and we had an anniversary when Travis ran the Daytona 500. I think it was 25-year anniversary of us working together, whatever it was, when I signed him when he was 16. And it was the first time since their divorce, Debbie and Robert had been in the same place. And then Cassie, who's been with me 11 years, but didn't know the whole back history, sat with Debbie and Robert, like hearing stories about me and them. And there was a time that Debbie called me up one day. I think I had been fired like 6 times by Debbie. and Robert always kept a shovel in the room. He's a construction guy. He goes, Steve, I don't know what you're doing. Like when I represented his son, is like, I don't get it. Like, because there was no agent. He's like, what are you doing? He's like, I'll just keep a shovel for you when you need a job. Meaning like, you're going to go out of business at some point, 99, 2000, 2001, whatever. But Debbie was the mall manager. And Debbie was everything. And again, I could say this about her and be honest about it because we have the utmost respect for each other. If she reaches out, she needed laptops for her schools, and she's a teacher now. Whatever she needs, I will be there for life. I owe that family everything, including Travis still being a client and a very important client of mine. But Debbie, one day after the 3rd or 4th fire, she literally, I think, picked up the phone. She goes, "You're the devil." And I was like, oh, God. I was like, oh, she hates me.
Talking about Travis Pastrana's mom.
Yeah. And I called up Debbie. I called up Travis. And Travis is like, just call my dad. Just don't freak out. Don't quit. Because this is going to be the time now that I quit. I'm like, I can't do this anymore. And I call Robert. And Robert's like, Steve, don't listen to her. You're not fired. You're not quitting. Give me another hour. And the rest is history from there. Obviously, it's been 16 years later, 17 years later. And the point being, she was just very protective, right? Here's this guy coming in and trying to get in the house and whatever else. And that's often... I think the history of managers and agents, you don't let one bad apple ruin the bunch, right? But unfortunately, there was situations even beforehand that, Debbie and Robert had heard about agents because, their uncle played for the Denver Broncos. And there was like the old school mentality of like them doing this and this wrong and that wrong. And so Debbie was always just fearful.